upon a time and place between your ears. A magic land, yes and west, you'll find there. Your imagination is the place to start. Join us on a journey home to your heart. Storytelling agents in America. Welcome to our home Storytopia. Asian American
Once upon a time,
Storytopia.
not so long ago.
Once upon a time
Storytopia.
Asian American Storytopia. Hello, Konnichiwa. Welcome to Asian American Storytopia. My name is Karin, and it's so wonderful to see you with us today. Well, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Linda Yemoto. My grandparents came here from Japan well over 100 years ago, so I'm Japanese American, and I live in Oakland, California. I have a Japanese folktale called the Mochi Race to share with you today, but first, a bit of explanation. Now, you may be familiar with mochi ice cream. You can find it in a lot of the markets today. You can see the ice cream on the inside, and there's this thin layer of chewy mochi on the outside. Now, traditionally, in order to make that mochi, you would need a wooden mortar or stone called an usu and a wooden mallet called a kine. You would fill the usu with freshly cooked mochi rice. Now, mochi rice is very short grain. Some people call it pearl rice. And you see they're beginning to pound it with the kine. So they pound it and pound it and pound it and pound it until eventually it gets to be pillowy, soft, chewy, stretchy. You can see the steam coming off, so it's still very hot. And as they pound it, someone has to flip that mochi and pound it and flip it and pound it and flip it until eventually it's ready to be formed into these traditional mochi rice cakes. Mukashi mukashi aru tokoro ni. Long, long ago in Japan, two friends met on a mountaintop. Monkey, yukiki, yukiki, and bullfrog, gwero, 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 gwero. Monkey turned to Bullfrog. Bullfrog, my old friend, do you hear those sounds coming to us from the village below? They could hear ka-donk, 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 ka-donk. That is the sound of people pounding mochi, because soon it'll be New Year's Day, and they're going to have a big celebration, Oshogatsu. Now they say it's good luck if you eat mochi on New Year's Day. It means you will have good luck for the entire year. Now, don't you think that you and I can come up with a plan where we can get some of that mochi for ourselves? So the two friends put their heads together and came up with a plan and then hurried down the mountain to the village. Well, Monkey got to the village mayor's home. He knew they'd be making mochi there. He pushed open the gate to the back garden. Sure enough, there was a big crowd of people pounding mochi, ka-tonk, 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 and lots of children running about and playing. Now he left the gate open for Bullfrog, and he went and he hid in the bushes. Sometime later, Bullfrog arrived. Boo, boo, boo. And he hopped over to the pond, and then with a big splash, bacha, he jumped into the pond. Huh? What happened? What happened? One of the children must have fallen into the pond. So everyone rushed over to the pond to see what had happened, leaving the usu unguarded. This gave Monkey his chance. He rushed out of the bushes, grabbed the usu, and began running back up the mountain as fast as he could. Now, he had to wait for Bullfrog to catch up with him. And as he was waiting, he got to thinking, why should I share any of this delicious mochi with Bullfrog? I did all the work. I carried that heavy usu all the way back up the mountain. So by the time Bullfrog arrived, Bullfrog, my old friend, instead of us trying to separate the sticky mochi into two, why don't we have a race? We'll roll the usu back down the mountain and we'll run after it. And the first one to catch up with the usu can eat as much of the mochi as they want. Well, Bullfrog knew very well that he was much slower than Monkey, but he was also very clever, so he agreed. And when Monkey wasn't watching, Bullfrog spit some water into the usu and then mushed it around with his feet. This made the mochi far less sticky than it was before. Then Ichi, Ni, San, they pushed the mortar down the mountain, and went tumbling down with yukiki, with Monkey chasing after it, and poor Bullfrog, boom, far behind. But all that tumbling caused the mochi to be flung out of the usu into the bushes. Monkey didn't even notice. He just kept chasing after that usu. But Bullfrog noticed, and he boom, hopped right over to that mochi, and with his long tongue, began to eat the mochi. In the meantime, Monkey, was still chasing after that usu. By the time he reached the usu, it had rolled all the way back down the mountain. And when he picked it up and looked in, it was empty. What happened? Oh, it was so disappointed. He trudged back up the mountain, tobo. By the time he found Bullfrog, he was eating up the last of the mochi. Oh, Monkey, my old friend, I would have saved some of the mochi for you, but you took so long coming back up the mountain, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So you see, that is why today Bullfrog has such a big belly, because he ate all the mochi. Oshimai.
Hello, konnichiwa. I'm Kuniko Yamamoto. I was born and raised in Osaka, Japan, and now I live in Florida. Looking up in the sky, Florida has a big sky, especially when it's a full moon. When you see the full moon, what do you see? Cheese? Japanese see bunnies, maybe mom and kids pounding mochi.
I'm Robert Kikuchi-Yngojo, a storyteller and musician, born and raised in San Francisco, Asian American. Oh, I'm half Japanese and half Filipino. And I had the good fortune in my earlier years to travel to the land of my ancestors, the Philippines, meeting relatives, eating their traditional foods, and with a side trip I went to Mindanao. Mindanao is one of the many islands, over 7,000 islands in the Philippines, and Mindanao is the southernmost island where I studied music, culture, traditions, and costumes as well. This is the traditional tobao. This is a traditional malong. And I also learned some stories, which I'm going to share with you now. Pilandok's Throne, a folktale from Mindanao, Philippines. Noong unang panahon, once upon a time, one could hear in the village, Pilandok, 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 Mami Randok. The children were laughing. Pilandok, Mami Randok, they called out to Pilandok, the village trickster. Oh, everyone loved Pilandok as they chased after him with joy. You, because everyone loved him, delighted in his stories, delighted in his jokes and his crazy fun antics, because he was very clever and very funny. And that's why everyone loved to see him. Except for one, the chief, who was very jealous. Everyone likes that Pilandok. He thinks just because he can make them laugh, he has power. He has no power over me. I'm the powerful one here. And to prove it so, he summoned Pilandok before the court. You, Pilandok, you think you're so powerful? Your Highness, maybe I am. You have no power over me? Maybe not. But I can make you do something you don't want to do. Impossible. You have no power over me. No, quite the contrary. I do have power over you. Let me demonstrate. Follow me. And so Pilandok led the Datu chief along with his entourage. They carried his throne, and they sat the Datu there by the banks of the river. And so that's where Pilandok said, Your Highness, get up off of your throne. And the Datu chief said, as he sank into his throne, you have no power. You can't get me off this throne. Well then, all right then. I can make you get out of the water. And he pointed to the river. And so the Datu got up and got into the river. Now, Datu, I command you to get out of the water. And the Datu stood there in the water. Datu, I command you to get out of the water. And that Datu crossed his arms and sank lower into the water. I command you, Datu, get out of the water. And again, the Datu sank down lower and lower. I command you, get out of the water. I have power over you. You have no power over me. You cannot get me out of this river. Well, I may not have any power to get you out of the water. But as you can see, I just got you out of your throne. Pilandok's Throne.
Well, I hope you had fun and learned something new. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our Asian American Storytopia channel, and it's free. We hope to see you again at our next Asian American Storytopia program. Until then, sayonara. That means goodbye in Japanese. Sayonara. Bye.